This is me when I first started lifting, and this is me now, 14 years in between. And I'll tell you guys in this video everything that I learned, the mistakes that I did, what I've learned throughout the whole journey, the bulks that I did, if I was supposed to bulk or not, the injuries, the supplements that I've been taking, and so on and so forth. All right, so hopefully it can help someone that is just starting to kind of see what is realistic and get some few tips on your bodybuilding journey, all right, your fitness journey. Have a few tips that can help you along the way. So let's jump straight into it. When I first started lifting, I was maybe 15 years old. I grew up in Syria. I was 15 years old, and trust me, I know nothing about dieting. I know nothing about macros or this or that. I was just eating anything that I could get my hands on. All right, a lot of bread, a lot of carbs, pretty much, a lot of bread, a lot of sandwiches. We even had fries sandwiches right next to our gym. We used to finish the gym and go get some fry sandwiches. So you can imagine I was getting pretty bulky very fast, but I didn't care because my main goal was getting stronger. So I started training. The first thing that I wanted was getting stronger, pushing a little bit more weight, getting bigger. Okay, so I was eating whatever and I was pushing heavy weights. All right, I was mainly focusing on compound lifts. I didn't really care. Well, honestly, I started training in a gym where we had no machines. All we had was a bench press, a Smith machine, and dumbbells. That's pretty much it. We had cables. That is true. We had cables where we did some triceps push down on, but that was it. We didn't have any chest machine flies, any of those stuff, any shoulder stuff. No, everything was free weights, and we had cables just for triceps. All right, so I started training with free weights and eating whatever I could get my hands on. I was super strong. By the age of 18, I was repping 225 easily 225 for 8 to 10 reps on my chest. Boom. Even now I can't do that. All right, yes, I was insanely strong, but also my body fat percentage was pretty high, and my focus was mainly strength. That is just how we started training and how I view things. And to be real, I really believe that those times were crucial to build my muscle mass. All right, the mass that I have now, I'm pretty confident that it came from those first 4 or 5 years of heavy lifting and being in a surplus. All right, so I started with a proper bulk. So just to say, a lot of kids would send me a message, should I be cutting? They're 15 years old. I don't think you should be cutting if you're 15 years old, 16 years old, even at 17, 18 years old, all right? Unless your body fat percentage is just over 30%. But if you're someone that is just want to see your abs, I don't think it's the moment to shred down and try to see your abs, because you will impact your hormones, you will impact your growth. Use the time that you have now, that you're young, that you're growing, use it kind of to your advantage to grow even more. So feed your body, go in a surplus. Doesn't need to be a crazy surplus, or do what I did, eating fries and junk food all the time. All right, we don't have McDonald's in Syria. We used to eat like falafel and fries and street food stuff. That was our street food. But I don't think that you should be going on a crazy cut. Neither don't go on a bulk, but make sure that your main goal is not just seeing your abs, because if that's your main goal at 16 years old, you're setting yourself up to failure for life. All right, so a lot of strength training, bulking. So no supplements. I want to say I started no supplement. When I started, we used to see supplements, protein powder and creatine and all those stuff as steroids. All right, and it was super expensive, super unaffordable. I remember me and my friend used to look at someone drinking a protein shake as if he's doing drugs, as if he's doing something illegal, and we're like, oh, that's why he's so strong, he's on protein, as if it's like a cycle. All right, then I came to Canada at the age of 18, and I saw everybody was in shaker, everybody's drinking BCAAs and EAAs. Guys, I had no idea what it was. I remember the first thing I bought was a mass gainer. Stupid me, I was already 20% body fat. I go buy a mass gainer because I think that's what's gonna get me to Ronnie Coleman stage. And then next thing you know, I started buying all the supplements under the sun, because that's what happened. Anyways, I'll talk about the supplements a little bit later, which ones I think you should buy or not. But once I got to Canada, my view of training changed, because now I was kind of a lot of machines were accessible to me. Gyms, we didn't have those kind of gyms. All right, so I started seeing a lot of different things. I started experimenting with a lot of new styles of training, but my main focus was still powerlifting. All right, I was still doing very heavy deadlifts, very heavy squats, very heavy bench press, and I kept that going up until I got injured. All right, so I did get a pretty bad injuries. My shoulder, I couldn't bench press, I couldn't do a push-up for a whole year. All right, I was benching 3 plates and something happened. My shoulder, right shoulder, the tendon, whatever, I couldn't even bench anymore for a whole year. So I had to change my whole training plan. And at that point, I wanted to compete in a powerlifting competition. I was super strong. I was maybe 19, 20 years old. There was nobody my age that was able to rep what I was doing or lift what I was doing. I was really like looking at anyways, I thought like I would be the next Larry Wheels. That's how strong I was. And remember, I'm short, I'm 5'7". I was maybe 200 pounds, repping four plate and a half on a deadlift for like 12, 15 reps with a pause on the bottom. I was insanely strong, but I was eating anything. I was pretty fat. So now I got injured. I'm like, you know what? Now I'm injured. I can't lift heavy weight anymore. So I started changing my style of training. I started training more like bodybuilders. I started doing a lot of time under tension, a lot of like tempo training, hold and squeeze, a lot of high reps, things that I used to hate, used to despise. I'm like, oh no, I don't want that 15 rep burn. I used to really just do short sets. That's when I was started training the first 4 or 5 years. After my injury, I have no more choice. I can't do the 2 plate overhead press. Yes, I've done a 2 plate push press. I was crazy strong in the push press as well, overhead press. But now I'm like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. So I started doing the boring style training. And now I started seeing that even though I'm doing less weight, but more time under tension, more hypertrophy style training, more holding and stuff, I was growing more muscles. So for everybody that is injured right now, it doesn't mean that because you're injured that you can't grow. It's actually a lot of time when you're dealing with an injury, it teaches you another way of training that will help you actually put more muscle, more tension on the muscles and train correctly. All right, so I started growing more and more. I started getting bigger and I cleaned up my diet because now I'm like, all right, there's no more point for me of overeating all those fries and the I used to go to Subway in my powerlifting days and get 3 foot long. I swear to God, I would destroy them. 3 foot long. I was a big eater, very big eater. But then I'm like, you know what? If I keep eating that way without lifting all the weight, I'm just gonna get fat. So let me focus on that bodybuilding lifestyle. Let me focus more on building muscles. And I'll clean up my diet. So I went on a crazy cut where I was barely doing any carbs. My diet was, at that point, was mainly kind of a keto style diet, a lot of whole eggs, steaks, chicken, yogurt. That was pretty much it. I had some fruits here and there, but not much. I cut down so much in those years. So my injury years, which were like 1 or 2 years, that's where I started really shaping up my body. I went from a fat guy to someone that is in shape, and everybody's like, whoa, you got a crazy body. Yeah, but I can't even bench because my shoulder was killing me. That was my main focus. I didn't even care about my muscles. And to be honest, I didn't plan on staying natural all the time. I used to tell my friends, once I heal, I'm jumping on PEDs. Once I'm healed, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go compete in a powerlifting show, because that was all my main focus, my goal. But then I healed and I grew older with time. So that injury was kind of a blessing in disguise, because a lot of people jump on PEDs young. But me, I got that injury and then I got some sense put into me after a few years, and I saw all the guys that did PEDs at my gym, and I saw they're up and then they're down, them crashing down, and all the side effect and the after effect coming from it. So I'm like, maybe I don't want that. So once I healed all my injuries, I kept training in a hypertrophy style training, because it's crazy when you start getting used to training in a hypertrophy style, it becomes very hard for you to lift heavy again. It's not because you're scared of getting injured or you lose your muscle mass. It's just because you start engaging your muscles so well, you connect with your muscles so well that you can't do those crazy, let's say, the bench press bouncing off your chest. I just can't do it. The squat where I lose control, I just can't do it. I know a lot of strongmen and powerlifters that I train with, when they're squatting, for example, at some point, they kind of bounce up and down. But when you're doing like a bodybuilding style training, it becomes very hard for you to train this way, because you want to keep that muscle under tension. You want to keep that control. You want to keep that time under tension. You want to stay tight and locked in all the time. You don't want to let any room for injury. You want to make sure that your muscle is always, let's say, taking the weight that you want. So let's say on the squat, I'll go for 2 plates each side, but I'll do it in a way that burns my quads like crazy. Back in the days, 2 plates, I swear I used to warm up with it and feel nothing on my quads, because I used to be better at engaging many muscles at the same time. But once you start training that bodybuilder style workout, becomes very hard for you to go back to lifting heavy. If you're experiencing that, leave a comment down below, let me know. So after healing, I kind of did a few years of only hypertrophy style training, and I would say that's where I started putting the most of my muscle mass. All right, I was eating well, I got back into my carbs, because now after cutting down and losing a lot of body fat, now I'm kind of building back up, but building on good foundations. All right, I'm not eating any more junk food. I was making sure that I was following a proper diet plan, and most of my workouts were, well, all my workouts, hypertrophy style training. I still believe that the strength days helped me put that mass on, but the hypertrophy days were the ones that helped me build a good muscle mass. All right, and that was like 7-8 years into training, and next thing you know, I do reach a plateau. Yes, I did reach a plateau, because you will not keep progressing at a fast rate, especially as a natural lifter. Maybe the first year, let's say it goes up 15%, second year 10%, third year 7%. By the year 8 or 9, you're just growing maybe 1%, if then. All right, so it becomes slower and slower, and that's where it shows if you really love that sport or not. And that's where maybe it's time to adjust some things up. All right, for me, I haven't gained much weight since then, but I know that my muscle maturity has gotten better. Some people don't believe in muscle maturity, and they'll be like, oh, well, this doesn't exist, you're just leaner or whatever. I don't think so. I really believe that your muscle with time, there's time. It takes a whole life to make a life. So someone that has been training for 5 years as opposed to someone that's been training for 15 years, even if there's the same weight, the same body fat percentage, I believe that all those extra years that the guy doing after 15 years of training is giving him something, a muscle maturity, something that you just don't get with few years into training. All right, and my supplement stack at that point, it's mostly creatine. It's just like now, creatine, protein, electrolytes during workout, and a pre-workout. That's pretty much all I take, guys. I don't do any EAAs or BCAAs or a lot of fancy stuff. I keep it super simple. All right, now my style of training at the moment is very much of a hypertrophy style. A lot of free weight, compound lifts, free weights. I don't do a lot of rest. I do higher volume training style. All right, I try doing a lot of like lower volume, maybe going more for strength training, or doing more, let's say, one set resting for 2 minutes, another set 8 to 12, and really going to failure each rep and really going at it every single set. For what I love more is doing more kind of circuit training. So I'll finish with my lat pull down, I'll jump on the pull-up bar, I'll hit some pull-ups, and then I'll do maybe some cable rows for my back as well. So I'll do circuit style training, but I'll keep it in the same muscle group. If I'm doing a bench press, I'll re-rack the weight, I'll jump on the floor, I'll do push-ups to failure, things like that. That's just my style of training. Now it's higher volume, less rest period, and I'll do more very high volume, and I do pretty high reps. At this point, I don't want to risk going heavy anymore, because the risk of injury is just not worth it. All right, going for PRs or going for sets of 3 or 4 or 5, I might do it for fun if I'm with a friend and we're just testing it, but that's not my style of training. And I realized that going for strength or pushing heavier weight wasn't giving me more gains than doing more hypertrophy style training. All right, last thing I want to say is what about, like, yes, it slowed down, what do I need to change? That is when I do incorporate some cycling in my training. So sometimes I'll do 1 week where I'll do mostly, like, I'll change my split. Now my split is more of a bro split. That's what I would do most of the time. Let's say chest and triceps, one day back and biceps, one day shoulder and arms, and last day I'll do legs. But then for a whole week or sometimes 2 weeks, I really just focus on the compound lifts, and I'll come to the gym and I'll do, for example, an hour on the bench press. And that's where I'll be pyramiding the weight up and down, making sure that I'm going in those strength reps. I'm going in the light, the short sets where I'm doing sets of 3, 5, just to make sure that I keep my strength in. And this, I've been incorporating it pretty recently, and I saw that it's helping me a lot to not stay in a plateau. All right, so it's something that you can do. You can cycle your trainings, but most of my time I'll train like a hypertrophy style training. All right, and now you might say, well, how do you progressively overload if you don't go very heavy? What I do personally is I like doing a bit more reps, for example, with a certain weight, or I like incorporating less rest or more time under tension, or more mind-muscle connection. And the last thing I will do would be adding more weight. Let's say today I was squatting. Usually, for example, if I'm able to squat 8 reps on 225, good form, well, I'll do 8 or maybe 9 reps next time, or 10 reps next time, as opposed to right away adding a little bit more weight, resting a little bit more, maybe not feeling my quads well enough. That's what I realized worked best for me. All right, keeps that tension where I want it and helps me get my muscle to failure. At the end of the day, we want to get our muscles to failure. All right, it could work with heavier weights, but a lot of time with heavier weights, the more heavy you go, you start compensating. A lot of time you get fatigued. You're not necessarily fatiguing your muscles. All right, you get fatigued, you overstress your nervous system, and the risk of injury is higher. So I would rather take the route where it's a little bit safer. That doesn't necessarily mean a lot heavier weight, but I'll do a bit more reps. All right, it's not true that 15 reps will get you toned. No, 15 reps with 225, good form. If really feeling your quads going, put it back and then do some lunges and then maybe do a leg extension, do it in a circuit. Man, trust me, your legs are on fire and you're gonna feel the craziest pump. So that is pretty much it. In terms of cardio now, I do mostly walking. For naturals, I really don't recommend doing any high intensity cardio or any like very long cardio. I did a lot of cardio for my bodybuilding competition that happened in November. And man, let me tell you, I was drained. My workouts were suffering. I lost a lot of muscles. You don't want that, all right? I much rather have you as a natural, if you're competing, being on stage a little less leaner, but still having that look and volume and that kind of puffiness to your muscles, than being very stringy on stage and losing all your muscles and losing what makes you unique just to have those shredded glutes. All right, it's not a good look for me. It's just not a good look. I was chasing something that wasn't my game, and for people that can keep those shredded, that can get those shredded glutes while keeping the muscle mass, hey man, all good. Like, good job for you, well done to you. But me, I can't. Like, I hold a lot of body fat on my glutes specifically, and as soon as I got maybe to 8-7% body fat, my muscles were just disappearing. It's like if I've never trained. And sometimes I'll look at pic of me before, like a year ago, and a pic 2 days before the show, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I looked unhealthy. All right, and I really think it's because, yes, over dieting, but you gotta diet also when you're doing a show. So it's, yeah, over dieting, but I really believe that the cardio for naturals, it does something to your muscles, because when you do a lot of cardio, you're telling your body that you don't necessarily want to keep those muscles, because muscles need a lot to maintain. They need oxygen, they need nutrients, they need blood flow. And when you're walking around or you're doing 2 hours on a step master, your body want to be light. So what message are you sending to your muscles, to your body? Get rid of the muscles. All right, so that's it. Just wanted to talk a little bit about my journey. And if you're reaching a plateau, also just keep going. It takes time. And you haven't reached your natty limits in 5 years. It takes time. I don't believe anybody reaches that natty limit. We keep growing, and it's good to always adjust things. In terms of bulking and cutting, I don't do much bulking and cutting right now. I really follow a main gaining diet. You know, I'm at maintenance, and I'm slowly trying to grow at maintenance. That's it. If I see that my body fat is getting a little bit high, I'll incorporate a bit more cardio, drop the carbs a little bit, and play with that. All right, but I'm always at kind of maintenance, and at maintenance, yes, you can still progress, you can still grow at maintenance. I don't necessarily believe that you need to go on big bulks and big surpluses, because you're just adding a lot of body fat at a certain point, and you don't need much. Maybe a 200 calorie surplus if you want to put weight on. 300 calorie surplus, guys. It doesn't go far from maintenance to bulking. People think bulking, okay, let me put those cookies down, let me eat this, let me eat that. No, man. Bulking and maintenance, it could be a banana extra a day, and that's your bulking diet. All right, you don't want to you want to be in shape all year long. You don't want to be fat and out of shape just so you're in shape one day before the show. That is not the way it should be. That's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Let me know what you guys want to see more, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.